Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Dr. Martha Simmons with another session of Preaching and Preachers on a Tuesday. I think I've only done a broadcast on Tuesday, maybe 2 times in 8 years. But we had some technical difficulties yesterday, but I wanted to make sure that this broadcast went forth. So we're doing it on a Tuesday on Restream and Facebook Live via Restream and YouTube. Come on in. Come on in. I know a lot of folk are going to just end up doing the replay, and I'm cool with that because, like I said, it's a Tuesday. But I still want to shout out my people in the Midwest, my people on the East Coast. I think you all are having some crazy weather, flash flooding. Want to shout you all out. And certainly my people on the West Coast who get up early and the folk in the dirty South. It is a sunny, and I do mean sunny, like close to 100 degrees sunny in Atlanta. And I am just delighted to be here. Got all the technical difficulties fixed. There's nothing like having a good tech who will come and take care of you when everything goes crazy like it did yesterday. But he got me on the right track, and I thank God for him. Come on in. Kind of a potpourri Monday. Going to say a little bit about a lot of things. And like I said, I really hope that you will reach out and tag someone. And even if they can't watch it today, it will be up on my Facebook page for a couple of weeks and on YouTube probably for a couple of years. So folk can check it out. And when you come in, please type in the name of another person and tell them that Dr. Martha Simmons is on with another practical session of preaching and preachers. I'm going to go ahead and get started because, like I said, I know this is probably one of those they will play it back later sessions. As always, I am praying for those who are sick, praying for those experiencing a season of bereavement, and praying for all of those being impacted by weather issues, major weather issues around the countries. We are praying for you. Couple of quick announcements. Join me next Monday. You are going to love this session. It's preaching in a swipe and soundbite world. We've got some great guests: Dr. Dominique Robinson, Dr. Mark Jefferson, and others. You're going to love this. You're going to love this practical information on preaching in today's world. And then on July 28th, for the first time in 8 years, I've wanted to do this and I can't wait to do this. I'm going to talk about the Chitlin Circuit, not the Chitterling Circuit, but the Chitlin Circuit, hooping and cadence. All right, and that's July 28th. The Chitlin Circuit. All right, so join me for that. But first, on July 21st, next Monday, for some of our wonderful new homileticians. Okay, it's a potpourri Monday. Let me say a little, about a lot of things. Come on in, join me. Let me see who is, that's right. All right, folk are coming in. And like I said, when you come in, type in the name of another person, tag someone, and let them know that they can join me now or play it back for 2 weeks from my page, or after that for a long time on YouTube. All right. Let me start today by talking about mentorship. Mentorship. Every year, I talk about mentorship because each month, every single month, I get requests for mentorship. You are fortunate if you had or have great mentors in your life, no matter what your vocation, whether you're in ministry or doing something else, okay? You are fortunate. Everyone in ministry and everyone in life, period, knows the value of a great mentor. The way the world moves now between probably ages, say 20 to 50, most people, most people nowadays will have at least 10 mentors, at least 10 mentors who mentor you for at least 6 months in some shape, form, or fashion. And then there will be many others who give you mentorship type advice in passing. Again, some will mentor you very briefly, and that could include your professors, someone at a retreat or a conference, a supervisor on your job, or a friend of the family, right? Mentors, and I always have to make this clear because new people watch the broadcast. Mentors are not coaches that you pay. That's not what a mentor is. It's fine to pay a coach if that's what you choose to do. It's fine to do that in any vocation, but that is not what a mentor is. Be clear about that. Coaches have established routines and protocols for those they coach. They are not present to hear every concern that you have. Once they do a consult, the two of you agree on a program or a plan for you to move forward in a direction that'll be helpful to you, and you pay them accordingly. Okay. If you are paying someone, just to be clear, sign a contract and be sure to know what to expect and what you will not get so that you won't be confused. Thousands of people are offering their services as coaches now. Uh, do not pay or select a coach to be a plug for you. Okay. That's not coaching either, to say so and so was my coach. All right. Mentors are valuable for a variety of reasons. Some of the reasons are they travel the road you want to travel or the road you are on, and they can tell you where the landmines are buried. Okay. They can help you avoid some of that. These mentors come with history. They can tell you the whole story, not the sound bites, and they know the names. They know the names. They know what was going on. I love talking to young preachers who think that something they're hearing is brand new and tell them, oh no, baby. In 1960, 70, 80, etc., so and so did that, and this is what it was called, and etc. So mentors, they can show you those landmines and give you a whole story. We live in a soundbite culture, and people just catch bits and pieces. And what you really need for your maturation is a whole story. Mentors can give you that. Mentors can also keep you on an even keel when you start to wobble a bit, um, or lean too much to one side. Uh, this is critical in every season of your life, especially if you are in ministry. But it's really critical now because so many ministers are and senior pastors are suffering from anxiety, excessive drinking, excessive weed smoking, divorced, broke, heart attack. having kids out of wedlock, one after another, fatigue, all of it, all of it. We are wobbling. A mentor can help get you back on track. They can help get you back on track. Even after you wobble, they can show you it's not the end of the world, and they can keep you on track. Mentors are cheerleaders. They are cheerleaders. They want to see you succeed. They are not in competition with you, no matter how great you think you are, okay? They're not in competition with you. They just want to succeed. They just want to see you win. They just want to see you make it. They just want to see you be the best person you can be for God. That's what mentors want, okay? They only want to see you succeed. Some mentors, because mentors bring different things to the table just as you do, they can provide you with references, a list of books, names of people to call, program information, and a lot of other things. You need to know what you want or what you believe you need and who can best provide it. Do you want a pastor? Do you want a mentor? Or, as Earl Fisher said, just a plug, meaning somebody you can associate yourself with and they will give your name out to other people. They will make you look bigger and all of those kinds of stuff. That's a plug. Be honest about what it is that you want. Be real honest about what you want, so there's no confusion, and you're not, once a person knows what you want, then they can decide if that's something they want to give. I remember, also speaking of being honest, Reverend Sheldon Hall used to be one of the godfathers in Chicago, west side of Chicago. And I was sitting in a session, sitting in the back with Mrs. Hall and some other women. We were in, I guess it was First Lady training. They didn't understand that that's not why I was there, but I knew where to go to get the information. Anyway, Reverend Hall said, preachers can be some of the most thin-skinned people. And I thought, that's kind of rough sounding. And Lord have mercy, 40 years later, he sure enough told the truth. We can be thin-skinned people. That being said, all mentors are not the same. Some do old school. Some will help you if you are thin-skinned. So select the kind of mentor that fits your personality. Then nobody's upset. Nobody's bothered. Okay? So it's fine if you're thin-skinned. There are people who will help you with that. Just select the person that fits you and where you are now in the journey. There's some mentors who can really help you a great deal in your 20s, others who can help you in your 40s, and then there are those who can help you when you're 50 and older. So pick the mentor that fits the stage that you are in now. Then there are, and again, like I said, all mentors are not the same. So there are mentors who really understand the church well. They understand how it operates. They understand deacons, trustees. They understand being moved from a church. They understand getting a church, being put out of a church. They understand those kinds of things. And then there are, mentors who basically just do kind of one thing. They really just kind of do one thing. They may be great in church growth. Then there are those who may be great in helping you overcome patriarchy or learning to preach better. Like I said, know what you need and ask for that. But don't expect people to do things that they don't do. Again, you will have multiple mentors over your lifetime, regardless of your vocation. Some may be a year, some may be 10 years, some may be your entire life. Get what you need. Just get what you need. If you are not disciplined, get a mentor who will hold your hand from one part of the journey to the next. Okay? Just get what you need. And, I'm always told that people have difficulty finding mentors. This has always been the case, especially for women, especially for women. Okay? And those people who enter ministry late in life and members of the LGBTQIA community. They have difficulty finding mentors. It can be hard. So, what should you do? Accept as much short term mentoring as you can get. It doesn't matter if it was at a conference and that was it, that can be helpful. That can be helpful. It may be for, like I said, a conference, a month, or a semester. Accept it. It will help you. Then learn to listen and stop acting as if you already have all of the answers and you called the person or you texted or emailed them so that they can do these things that you want done. That's not mentorship. That is not mentorship. And you won't get a mentor who will stick around, and you won't get the help that you need. Comport yourself in a way that makes people want to mentor you, okay? So don't act as if you are tight with someone who is your mentor unless that relationship has been created. So in other words, you can come to the table with problems, but don't be a problem. Don't be a problem. Don't make it difficult for people to mentor you, by texting too much, calling too much, especially with the same problems again and again and again and again. Okay? So, and don't waste anybody's time. Don't waste people's time. Okay? Like I said, the same thing over and over again. Keep looking when you run into people. You can ask them if they will mentor you. And again, it may be brief, accept it, and move on. I've been mentored by business people, people in ministry, people in the arts, people in the nonprofit world. All of it was helpful. All right? And look for mentorship for more than preaching and pastoring, because being in ministry is a many splendored things. All right. So don't just say, I want to be a pastor, help me be a pastor, or I want to be a better preacher, etc. You need multiple layers of many things. Okay. If you are going to be mentored and it's going to be helpful. All right. Mentorship. Now I want to say a little bit about getting a great administrative assistant. This is another call I get all the time from preachers who are just lamenting that they cannot find anyone who does great administration. And as AI becomes embedded in our lives, the work of the administrative assistant is changing. And I really hope that pastors, nonprofit leaders, and others know this. They know that it has changed. Like I said, churches are looking for great administration, and churches really suffer a great deal due to bad administration, especially small churches and mid-sized churches, because the pastor, they just cannot do it all. And administration may not be your sweet spot at all as a pastor. Maybe your sweet spot is teaching and preaching, and you are killing the church trying to be the administrator too. So, how do you find a great administrative assistant? First, know what you need. Please know what you need, and there are at least two parts to this, okay? First, you need to know what you need personally as the boss, so to speak. Whether pastor, nonprofit, in a school, wherever, you need to know what you need personally. It may not be what the person down the hall, around the corner, next church needs. You are an individual, know what you need personally. Then know what your church or organization or school needs, since, like I said, they will work within this culture. So you got to know both. What do I need as a person? Because some pastors, some administrators, some heads of organizations, you are very organized, very, very, very organized. And then some of you lose your keys every day. Okay. You are not organized. So you got to know what you need as an individual, and then know what your organization or your church needs. Also, second, know your budget. Know your budget. You will not get a top of the line full-time administrative assistants if you cannot pay one well. Even if they come and they start to work for you, they're going to leave. They're going to leave, okay? Because they can. And you could go a long way towards keeping them. You can't pay top line, at least provide health insurance. And that helps people to stay, okay? You can't do either one of those, then make sure you're doing the best that you can to make yourself stand out as an employer, okay? Also, in terms of knowing yourself, make sure that you are not a micromanager. That drives administrative assistants crazy. It really drives them crazy. I've been one, okay? And you got to let them do their job. And it's okay if you think you can do the job. Just know you're not in that position. You're in another position. So don't micromanage, okay? Also, if you lack writing skills, try to find an administrative assistant who has good writing skills. And we know AI has made that twice as easy now. All right. Then also be aware that you might be leading a dysfunctional staff. Yeah, you may have 10 other staff people and you throw a great administrative assistant in that mix. You have to be prepared for what will happen when you put top of the line qualified people in the mix with dysfunctional people. All right. So also understand that's part of keeping a good administrative assistant. You may have to call some of those people and say, look, we are no longer doing this because the administrative assistant has lined up things and they know what they're doing. Don't let other people run your great administrative assistant away. Okay. And here's a big one. And this has, I think through most of my life, the administrative assistant was a member of the church, right? They may not be today. And you just need to get over that if you want to get a good one. And it's fine if you need them to work on a Sunday, just know they still get 2 other days off, but they don't have to be a member of your church, right? Most churches and nonprofits and schools and etc. underpay administrative assistants, and many of them don't offer health care. And if you do that, don't make matters worse by saying, and when are you going to join my church? They may not join your church. They may not join your church. Also, stop all the times of the day and night calling and texting your administrative assistants. If you're going to want them to work 12 hours, pay them for 12 hours. If it's just supposed to be an 8-hour day, then no, then know that they get time off. You don't get to interrupt their family, their life, etc., just because you need something at the last minute. We've got to stop doing that, or these great people will continue not to want to work for us. They are not on call unless you're paying on call money. Okay. So, how do you know when you've got a great administrative assistant? Here's some things to look at. Of course, obvious is, solid references. Check their references closely. Some folk will have their friends give them great references, but check closely. Really do talk to past employers to get a sense of the person if you can. All right. So if you really, everybody needs a tech savvy administrative assistant now. There's just no way around that. So are they tech savvy? Good references. Do they tend to finish work in a timely fashion? All right. They're not slow, and it didn't take 5 days to do a basic task. Do they tend to take a lot of days off? There's people have all kinds of things going on in their life, family issues, illness, and etc. Know that beforehand, okay? And put together a contract that speaks to those kinds of things. Then you need an administrative assistant that has common sense. They have common sense. And common sense is not common. It really not. And of course, you need someone who understands how to keep the business of the church or the organizations in the strictest of confidence. People bring major issues to churches and other organizations. This person has to know that those issues can't travel. They can't travel outside the walls of the church or the organization or the business. Also, in an AI fast-moving world, you need an administrative assistant who's good at anticipating. They anticipate. The best administrative assistants I've had anticipated things, and they would send me a page and say, this is what's happening on Monday. Here's this person's number and email in case you forgot it. Here are the PowerPoints you need. Here's a problem that has to be dealt with. Here's your timeline, and etc. Okay? They anticipate needs. They don't just sit at a desk and wait for someone to tell them what is next. They anticipate. They know that your church roll has not been fixed in 20 years, and that going forward, you're going to need that done. And so they start work on it. Also, they like people, and they're not bothered by crazy people or mean people or stupid. They like people. They get along with people, okay? Because they are a big part of the face of your organization or your church. And so you don't need to get constant complaints about them, all right? They know the church and they know the work. And they may not know your church, but they can learn it quickly because they understand churches generally, or if it's a nonprofit, they understand nonprofit work, okay? And now, of course, I said tech savvy, they must be AI proficient. And by proficient, I mean more than they can use Canva, okay? They really, really need people now who understand technology, and technology is moving so quickly. So if they haven't started learning, they're really going to be behind the 8 ball, and they're probably not the person that you need, okay? And the other thing about them being AI proficient is that it'll save them time and you money, all right? So we know that they have to be those kinds of things, those kinds of people. So if you find people with all of these skills, great personality, great references, and etc. Treat them well. They will save your life again and again and again and again. This is Dr. Martha Simmons with another session of Preaching and Preachers. You can still jump on, and if you are on, type in the name of another person who you know needs this information, and they can view it on my page for a couple of weeks and on YouTube for at least a couple of years. It's a potpourri Monday, so we've talked about mentorship. We've talked about finding a great administrative assistant. Next, we want to talk about letting the physical church serve the online church. And, when I posted about this, I got some comments pretty much like, what in the world are you talking about? Here's what I'm talking about. I am genuinely concerned that too many churches, especially small, meaning 30 people, 50 people, and mid-sized churches, meaning 100 to 150, maybe 175, are dying. They are dying. They are closing because they are so wedded to their church buildings. And they do not know what it means to live in an online world. It just hasn't clicked for them. Keith Anderson writes in the book, The Digital Cathedral. This is what he says. He said, we spend more and more time worrying over the internal operations of our institutions, even as fewer and fewer people attend and belong. Thus, we inhabit and concern ourselves with an ever shrinking piece of cultural and spiritual real estate. That's what I'm talking about. That's the reality in 2025. I said this right as COVID was ending. I said, yes, people are going to come back to the church in person, but many won't. And of course, folks didn't believe me. But it's true. And I love church edifices as much as the next person. But here's the way people think about edifices now. They are slow to help you keep the lights on if you are leaving hurting people in darkness. Meaning, and that, like I said, this is the way the world is now. And so many of those people are online. They are online. And this has been surveyed again and again. You don't have to take my word for it. You can just Google it. Okay. And it'll show you that people want their money spent to help others more than they do to support brick and mortar concerns. Yes, we know that you have to keep the lights on, the air running, the heat running, and etc. Pay the musicians. People get that. They really do get that. But there's a growing sense that that spending ratio is off, that it's off, or that funds are not being managed properly. And like I said, I know that, especially for small churches, that you don't have a lot of money. I really do get that. But what people are saying is, don't spend so much time concentrating on that building and how it operates, and recognize that there's a whole new world that's out there that you are missing. Okay. We've what was it, 30 years ago or maybe 40, we started building these huge buildings, and now we can't fill them. And that's okay. It is what it is now. Okay. And you ain't got to believe me. You can go online and look at these services. Okay. They're half empty. Those buildings are half full. But here's the great thing. You've still got a bunch of people online. And we know that churches, like I said, they're closing. I think last year, at least 5,000 churches closed, and some estimates say as many as 7,000. All right. And that's at least 75 churches a week somewhere in the country. Okay. And again, here's the point. We are over investing in brick and mortar and under investing in online congregations. These are these people are part of your congregation, and we're paying for it as our congregations continue to shrink. Invest in the online side of your church. Pay more attention to it. It is your future. The brick and mortar is not your future. You don't have to believe me. Keep on living and watching. Okay? It is not your future. Your future is online. We already know, and this has been the case for more than a decade, that people now attend church basically 2 Sundays. That's it. 2 Sundays a month. And these are the people who are in the brick and mortar church. They're coming 2 Sundays a month, first Sunday, and then they'll pick another one, or whenever you're serving communion. They'll pick basically 2 Sundays. But the same people who didn't come to the brick and mortar building, they're still online. They love church. They want to see it. They want to hear the preaching. They want to hear the singing. Okay. So why is it that we think dealing with people online means you got to chat to the side of the screen and you say good morning and welcome? And if you're sick, we will pray for you. And if you've got a need, let us know after the service, etc. And we think that's attending to people. That's absurd. That's absurd. They are a part of your church, just like the people sitting there that you see each Sunday. So you got to do more than just say hi in a chat. You got to do more than that. Okay. You might only have 40 members in the building, but you got another 20 online all the time. Okay. All the time. And you have to start to pay attention to that. You have to begin to write Bible studies for those people online. And you have to start to think as an online pastor. Don't pay attention to what's happening at Wheeler Avenue or Alfred Street or any of the other 2% churches. You're not the 2%, you're the 98%. Okay? Pay attention to your online people. What do you need to do with online members? First, like I said, stop believing it's enough to just greet them in a chat and pray for them. Embed online members in your church. They need online teaching. They need instruction. They need Bible study. They need to know. They need awareness of your denomination, your church history, those kinds of things. Most importantly, they just need care. They need to hear from the senior pastor or staff members other than just in a chat on Sunday. You will need to, and thank God for AI, create an online version of everything that you do. You need an online version, all your rituals, communion, prayer, fasting, etc. I have watched so many services on communion Sundays, and rarely do I hear a pastor say, if you are online at this time, please take bread or crackers, water, grape juice, wine, etc., as we undertake communion. Preachers go right into addressing just the people in front of them, right? And the people at home, and they've learned since COVID how to, participate in communion, but they don't feel included. And there's no reason for that. Okay. You need, like I said, an online version, online wording, online materials for everything that you do. Okay. When when we treat churches, when we treat churches like machines with parts, like we if we maintain uh keeping the lights on and keeping this many deacons, and we maintain doing our annual days and etc., we think that will help us keep going. But that's not what churches are. Churches are networks of people. And you know the word networks now because it's one of those technology words, right? And those networks of people include the people who are online. The people who are online have families, friends, and etc. And they listen to one another online. Online. So they tell one another the church is having this or not having this, or the pastor said this or did not say X, Y, or Z. All right. The church is a series of networks. And the network, of course, includes the members who are part of the brick and mortar church. Okay. And I think we really are confused about not understanding these relationships that are part of these networks. These networks. That's what our church is now. It's not a matter of just we've got a pastor at the top, we got deacons or stewards and etc. It's a network of relationships. And the more we treat it like that, the better we will be. And instead of just having 20 or 30 members sitting in your seat, you will start to feel and recognize the presence of everyone that's a part of your church. And understand that there's some people who are rarely, if ever, going to come back into that brick and mortar building. That's just real. They may come once or twice a year, but you've got to, we know those of who attended seminary, you know the term, the priesthood of all believers count in the network. All believers, wherever they are located, okay? They all count because we're all part of one Christian network, right? And in networks, people are also teaching one another, talking to one another. They're not just doing everything that the church says, in their networks. That's where they're getting a lot of their information. You all know that people may say I'm part of a faith community, but I don't believe everything that they believe. It's like asking all Catholics, do they believe in birth control? And most of them are supposed to, according to their faith, say no. And we know that's a lie. We know that's a lie. But the networks of those people, okay, they've all agreed that we're going to choose these things in our faith community, and these other things we're hoping will get better over time. They are in their own networks. And if you don't know that they've got networks going on, you're missing out too. You're missing out too. Networks are about relationships. They play a formative role, we know, in people's spiritual maturation, in their expressions and practices of their faith. They're networks, okay? The world was once very homogenous when it came to churches, all right? A lot of Baptist churches look the same. AME's churches look the same. Catholic churches look the same. Now you can go inside of or turn on your computer, your television, and see a church, and you don't know if it's Baptist, Pentecostal. You don't under you're not tied to it, the denomination or the faith community. It's the way a particular church comports itself. And that's what you know about that church. And then, if you're interested in that church, you will become a part of it depending upon how well that church does relationships. Not because necessarily of its denomination, although, some of you people might be interested in denomination. Most young folks under 35, especially, are not. Neither am I in these days, okay? I may have had, let's see, one, two, three denominations that I've been a part of by the time I'm deceased. And for many young people, that might be as many as 5 denominations. It depends on the relationships during a certain point in your life. All right. People are interested in relationships. They're clicking what their friends are clicking. They believe what their friends believe because they're in relationships. Okay. Here's what we do with the online world. Okay. This is what brick and mortar churches tend to do. Those who are focused on brick, we tend to choose and use relationships as a means to influence people to choose our congregation, and we use membership as a means to solicit money. Okay, so it's like, yeah, we want you. We'll take you as an online member. We understand that you may never come to the building. And then we start to send people one email, one text, one everything about giving money. Not how to enter into relationships with us. It's about a means to an end. Though that's not the way the online world works, and you won't be successful doing that. The internet is kind of a campfire now around which people sit and listen and worship and tell their stories and speak their truths. And if you don't understand that it's that, and you think the brick and mortar building is the campfire, you are behind. And your church will continue to shrink. That's what's going to happen. It will continue to shrink. Okay? It's a digital world. It's an internet world. It's a digital world. People wake up now, and the first thing they do after they finish doing the basic hygiene things, they turn that phone on. They turn that phone on, and they're swiping Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, etc. I turn my phone on and I go to Reuters and the BBC, and because I'm old and I do news first. But it's on my phone. I'm turning my phone on. Okay. So if you are asking yourself as a pastor in 2025, digital or face to face, please know that that's not a choice. That is not a choice. That's a waste of time. And I know the church, we love to divide things, and, we love binaries, sacred and secular, believer, non-believe, digital and physical. But if you do that, you are misunderstanding the contemporary situation. You are misunderstanding it. The choice between digital and face-to-face is a false choice. That's a false choice. Digital devices, digital mechanisms are embedded into people's everyday lives, no matter their age. So your children can, at 2, they are already digitally able, right? And society is divided. And people, we've had all of these studies as to why people are lonely and alone, and people want to blame that on the digital world, the internet, etc. And I know that's not true, because so many seniors that I worked with were lonely and alone before we ever had the internet. Okay. But you are increasing the possibility that people will be lonely and alone if you only mainly pay attention to the brick and mortar church. Okay. So put your energy into your online church. Build it, online members, excuse me. Build it out. Get the rituals for it, get the materials for it, so that people know that they can go online and read stuff. They can go online and reach people. Okay. Instead of they were online on Sunday and they can't hear from anybody until the next Sunday. And then people will contribute. People will contribute. Okay. Offer your online church members everything that you offer those in the brick and mortar church. Change your budget, because this is when you really know you've made the change. Okay. You've made the change when your budget says you care as much about your online members as you do about those who are in the brick and mortar chain. Start to make that change today, and you will see a difference. You'll see a difference in your people. They will be more educated. Their spiritual maturation will increase. Yeah, you will even get more money if that's what you are after, but you will see things change. To just hold on to the brick and mortar church, unfortunately, you're asking to join those 5,000 to 7,000 churches that close every year. All right, I'm going to close with pastors and side jobs. Pastors and side jobs. First of all, there's no shame in having a side job. And it's okay if you also have a full-time job, but to make ends meet, as ridiculously expensive as living is now, you need a side job. Do what is necessary. And you don't have to tell anybody. You don't have to announce it. I'm driving for Lyft. I'm driving for Uber. Nobody needs to know all of that. Just handle your business. Just handle your business. And if you are a pastor or nonprofit director or etc., or if you just a lay member and you need a side job, there's no shame in that. Now, particularly for ministers, okay, because this is preaching and preachers. If you are interested in a side job, honestly assess your skills and then begin with something easy and cheap as your entry point into your side job. Something like maybe delivering for Grubhub or DoorDash. Find something easy and that doesn't have a real high and expensive entry point as a side job. I know that many of you want to teach. I get this all the time. Doc, when I retire, or Doc, at this point, I really want to teach, and you've got a D-Min. Know that in many cases, nobody's going to hire you to teach with a D-Min. They are just not. Okay? There are people with PhDs who can't find jobs. And if they do hire you, it's going to be an adjunct position, and adjunct positions have a great deal of work. There's a great deal of work involved, and they don't pay well. They don't pay well. Now, if you just want to use it because it makes you feel better, makes you look good online, okay. But know that going in. No, you are not a professor, okay? You teach as an adjunct, and that's your side job. and that's cool. Many people for side jobs are choosing Uber or Lyft, and this side job may work for you because you can pick your hours, morning or late at night. But remember, you have to pay for insurance, your gas, you have to maintain your vehicle, pay taxes on everything that you make. So make sure you counted the cost, as the scripture says. Um, According to Glassdoor, and that's one of those entities that look at salaries all over the web. Working full time, for example, in Atlanta, if you are driving for Uber or Lyft, you probably won't make any more than 300 a week after you take out your insurance, your gas, your maintenance. 300 a week, okay? After you deduct all your costs. So now, yes, of course, you can make more by working more hours. You can do that. But make sure you count the cost. So you're not upset, all right? You know the cost, you know what you're getting into. And if you don't like the side job, it was a side job. You can just leave it and go on to something else. And here's what we're noticing. Here's a trend for people and side jobs is that they may have at least three in 1 year. At least three. Okay. 3 in 1 year. And again, that's cool. That's cool. You didn't like one, or you just wanted to try something else. Somebody told you about something different. And that's fine. A lot of people are trying consulting, which is very difficult to do, but you see the stuff all over Facebook. I'm a consultant, I'm a coach, and they're doing some of that as side jobs. Okay. So find what works for you and make sure that you count the cost. And it's okay to do even multiple side jobs. Okay. Depending on, like the time of the year. I know some people who drive for Uber, and then during the holidays, because they're good at baking and things like that, they sell baked products. All right. If you can coach people, do translation services, tutor online, edit, etc., all of those can be great side jobs. There's nothing wrong with it. No reason. There is no reason for you to suffer financially because you think there's something wrong about you doing what you're doing because you are a preacher. Get real. You got bills to pay, you got kids to feed, you got to take care of yourself. Do what you need to do that. And like I said, you don't have to tell anybody. Just handle your business. Handle your business. No shame in it. Handle your business. And I get as many side jobs as you need. We know that most of these small churches, and that's where many of our preachers are, with 50 or fewer, they can't pay a full-time pastor. But you still got to eat. You still got a family to take care of. So get the job if you need it. Okay? Get a job if you need it. It's okay. Sell t-shirts. I wouldn't say do a podcast because that can be expensive and you may not make a lot of money. But do try it out and do what you need to do. Thank you for viewing this broadcast and joining me on a Tuesday. Okay? And I hope nothing like that happens for the rest of the year. Thank you for hitting my Cash App. As an independent scholar, when you hit my Cash App, that helps me do the work I do and bring you the guests that you want to see so that I can pay many of them. So I appreciate it. Love my work. 1, 2, 3. I appreciate you're hitting that. All right. And last but not least, what do I always say? Share the video. It won't cost you anything. And if you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe to my page. God bless. I hope that you have a great week. And remember, next Monday, we've got the new homiletician talking about preaching in a swipe culture, and it's going to be amazing. You'll I think the flyer is up now. God bless. We'll see you next time.